party stamped its authority today as 4 defiant MPs were kicked out of 4 parliamentary committees in separate votes of no confidence in Parliament. The MPs were dethroned following an order by the President Kenyatta after they defied the party's position on regional balance. That is Nandi Hills MP Alfred Keter, Kangogo Bowen, Marakwet East, Silas Tiren, MP Moi Ben, and also Gakuya, who's the MP Embakasi North. That is James Gakuya. Right, so it became a talking point, and of course we've had Alfred Keter saying today, and the rest of course, but especially Alfred Keter saying it's all about executive interfering with Parliament's role and in its independent role as an oversight to the executive. Nandi Hills MP Alfred Keter was supposed to be in this show tonight. He cancelled, but the show must go on. Majority Whip in the National Assembly, also Mumias East MP Ben Oshali is here. Thank you for making time for us tonight.
Thank you.
And Steve Ogola is a lawyer. We'll also be looking at these issues with us. Thank you for making time for us tonight.
Yeah.
Oshali, I'll start with you. Of course, Keter hasn't shown up tonight as we expected, but he says, and as we saw last time, he was elected through a democratic process as the chair of the Labour Committee. What was the problem if majority of the MPs in that committee decided to vote for him?
Thank you, my brother Hussein, for this opportunity. I want to say quickly and here that it's unfortunate that we are addressing party issues in public, but this is the way we chose, especially for our errand colleagues, and we have to find ways of clearing the air, especially for the public who have actually supported us. It's unfortunate that he didn't come. For me, I didn't come to address him. I came to address the public so that they can understand the reason why this decision were to be made. Many times we have heard Hussein, people confusing, saying that there is executive pressure or being exerted to Parliament. But I think it's important for you to know that when we go to State House for a PG, it's not usually that we are going to meet the President. We usually meet the party leader, who happens also with the President. So it's a very thin line to differentiate between Uhuru the President and Uhuru the party leader of Jubilee. When we moved around while campaigning, we said that we will put this country together and that we shall have equity and try to share out the positions that we have to have an all-inclusive, and of course the aspects of regional balancing were to come in. On 13th of December, we had a PG. And for your information, a PG is an organ of our party, Jubilee. And in that PG, we agreed as members of Parliament that we need to come up with a formula that will then embrace all regions that supported us. If you remember very well, when we were dissolving all these parties, and my leader Dwale mentioned it when we were making a statement just after the decision had been made, that we have dissolved all the parties, and all these parties were representing quite a number of regions. Okay. And we promised that as we now get into leadership, which we now are, we will make sure that it will be an all-inclusive aspect. So, okay. And that's why we are pursuing a negotiated democracy. So you're saying this was decided in that parliamentary group meeting? Correct. The positions and how they'll be filled? Correct. It was decided in the parliamentary group meeting, which Alfred Keter, I assume, attended, and how I wish he was here, as he promised to come, so that I could put those questions to him. But from our sources we gather, he was also there, and so are all these other MPs. Yeah. So what is the problem? Because you have a problem because you're talking about regional balance. Yeah. But he was elected by members of this committee. In fact, should you be angry at Alfred Keter and these other chairmen or these other members of the committee who elected them, and majority who are from Jubilee? You know, this is an aspect of members who do not understand the difference between being a member of the party and being independent. And the way our errand members are behaving they would have done better if they would have come in as independent members of parliament. Because
so you're saying
if you are a member
those
of
who
party,
voted for them also errant?
If you are a member, if you are a member of the party, and a party has made a resolution under the organ of parliamentary group, and that the resolution, you are part of it, why would you go outside that and go against that resolution? Not unless, and for us as the leadership of the party, we are implementers, and whenever there is a resolution that has been approved by PG, we will implement it to the letter, and that's why we are where we are.
Okay, let me bring in Steve here. I'll come to you.
Then I feel demoralized and discouraged. Maybe first of all to say that the ouster of these MPs from the chairman from these committees is an illegal act. It is unprocedural. It is unconstitutional. This is in fact a false start for this parliament. What this removal has shown us, that the executive still has tentacles in the parliament, and it is still calling the shots in a manner that was not intended,
You'll respond.
by the constitution. But away from that, that is the politics on composition and discharge. What is the law on composition and discharge from committees? And I've had an occasion to look at standing order number 193. It provides a step-by-step guide. So let's just do a summary so that we can satisfy ourselves that the manner in which the transaction was done today complies with the law on composition and discharge. It says, if members are aggrieved by the conduct of a committee chair, then they may write to the speaker. They give a written notice to the chairperson through the speaker. The speaker must take 3 days. Step number 2, 3 days notice after receipt of written notification to Alfred Ketera, this team. After those 3 days, the committee will hold this meeting. It's holding its meeting. In that meeting, a resolution or a vote of no confidence may be taken. If a vote of no confidence is taken, third step, then the liaison committee may then proceed. Now, was there a written notice? Information we have, hold on, he's there, Mheshimiwa can correct. The notification was via SMS. Can we show, I think there are documents here, can we see a written notice? When was it written? Because we must count 3 days clear. I have no problem with the whipping. I'm talking about the law on procedure was not followed.
Let him respond to that.
Yes. Then, most critically, just so that he can respond comprehensively, you are removing the chairperson. You get? You're voting, it's a vote of no confidence against the chair. Not against Alfred Ketera, against the chair. It presupposes, and this is a common sense, practical sense issue, that the chair must have done something which is inconsistent with that office, that then necessitates a motion of no confidence. What has this chair who has not even started working? What has he done? Okay, what are the grounds so that we can interrogate and satisfy ourselves that the law was complied with?
Thank you, my brother Hussein and Ken for that question. Steve, sorry. I want to say that in this case where standing order number 193 was applied, all the procedures are being followed, and as we speak now, we have reached a stage where all committees in question have already made a decision in terms of voting the chairman, the errant chairman, out. A notice was given on Thursday, forwarded it to the clerk as the law requires, and the clerk went ahead and gave notice to members of those respective committees to come and meet today, and all those procedures. If I would have noted that is the question my brother Steve will be asking, I would have come with the copies.
He's also talking about the ground.
The notice must give 3 days clear, but then must also document the grounds for removal of the chair,
which I'm sure he knows about.
What are the grounds?
The grounds were very clear, and we said that regional balancing is a key factor in identifying committee leadership, and we will not have known how the leadership will have come out, given that each committee elects their chair and the vice chair independent of each other. And that's why when we came to realize, to notice this, and by the way, Settler, you did very well when you were making analysis on this issue, I think some 2 or 3 days ago. And you came out very well, and I think you helped us explain the point that we were trying to explain, that we realized that if we would have brought in the leadership the way they were concentrated in one area. Okay. And this is what we realize as a party, and realize that we need to help Kenyans, so that we are all inclusive, like the motto.
With tremendous respect, and what I'm saying is this: I have no problem with the removal of Alfred Keter or any chairperson if the law and procedure is followed. But I want to offer pro bono services to the Jubilee Party. Removal of an elected chairperson cannot be based on some sudden realization that regional balance wasn't achieved. The conduct of that chairperson must violate the integrity of that office to occasion removal. It must presuppose, at the very minimum, that if you are removing me as a chairperson, I must have done something that is inconsistent with that office.
But there seems to be...
If you are raising issues, Hussein, which fall outside my control, I have been subjected to the ballot, elected as the chairperson, you must interrogate. I think this, let me just unpack it and say it as it is. This is a clear indication that the Jubilee Party, and I dare say maybe with the permission or authority of the president, is keen on emasculating parliament. And I'm saying that is a very discouraging and disappointing approach, because you see, in terms of technical division of labor, the legislative wing of government is required to operate independently without executive interference.
My brother, Steve keeps on repeating what I have already clarified. Because he is now pushing us towards the end of executive interfering with the parliament, which is not the case. So at what time does the president become the president, and at what time does the president become the party leader? We have said, and we want to repeat, and we want to be very clear on this matter, that the president makes the decision on behalf of the Jubilee as a party leader and not as the president. Therefore, when he is making decisions as a party leader, the aspects of executive does not apply in this case. And therefore, my brother Steve should not keep on pushing us to an area that we already left.
I had asked you, who do you really need to be angry with? These 4 MPs who elected chairman for not going with the party wishes, or the other majority Jubilee MPs who voted for them?
What I'm saying, for us, voting out these members of parliament is a lesser problem than the problem that we would have otherwise had later. Because, let me just explain, my brother Hussein, that just look at coast, the entire coast from Tana River up to the other side, down there, that the only position they had for chair, and you can count the number of counties we are talking about. The only position is what Honorable Keter took, and took it back to Nandi, where we already had Meli with the chair of education, and Honorable Terrain, vice chair of trade. Look at what has happened to Mandera. My brother Terrain took the only chairmanship seat that had been taken to Mandera, and took it to Wasingishu, where we already have our dear sister Poshe Sholei as chair of delegated legislation, and Misra as vice chair of health. So, for us as leadership who want to see inclusivity and equity, do we just sit back and wait for the law? And maybe just before that, some of the reason why they were complaining is that they were looking at the composition of our colleagues who went to Yala, and that the reason they were asking is that where there was balance. And indeed, it is members of parliament who voted for our members of parliament who went to Yala. Now, if we left it the way it were, that would mean that, and that's why we have the yellow leadership concentrated in one region.
Okay.
And that's why we say, why can't we negotiate so that we have a fair balance and a fair spread?
But the question is, why wasn't there so much concern then on Yala as regards the issue of balance? I'll come to you, Steve, shortly. Yeah. But ultimately, when a party decides, because you're talking about when do these MPs realize this is a party position, being independent or executive interfering? Yeah. So if the Jubilee parliamentary group decided this is how the positions are going to be shared out because of regional balance, what is the criteria for voting ultimately at the parliamentary process? I mean, is a party decision or resolution of a party a criteria? Should it be a criteria? And the MP is supposed to exercise their independent roles in parliament and decide and vote for whoever they want to vote for?
Hussein, I want to tell you here and now that if we would not have negotiated for these positions, even Honorable Alfred Keter would not have been chair. If we would have allowed free fall for everybody. Because in that committee of labor, we have men and women who can make things turn around in terms of looking for votes. Therefore, we negotiated, and it is out of our motto of Jubilee for all inclusivity that we negotiated that for us to manage what we promised Kenyans who have actually supported us in the last elections is that every region must be given some position. Okay. And that's why we went out of our way to negotiate for this position.
Okay, I'll ask you one more last question, then Steve can chip in. Yeah. So finally, with this arrangement, are you comfortable, and do you think ultimately that those who are going to be elected, do you think, are they not going to be beholden to the executive because they are supposed to oversight the executive? You are saying these positions clearly have been dished out in terms of regional balance. This has to go here, this has to go here to such and such a person. Do you expect them to lead these committees that are supposed to oversight the government and really oversight the government which actually gave them these positions?
Hussein, once you are a member of parliament, whether you are a chairman of the committee or not, you have equal mandate in oversighting the executive. And I want to tell you for free that even if Keter was not a chairman, he will still raise issues on behalf of the people he represents in Nadi Hills and Kenyans as a whole. I remember very well in the other parliament when Keter attempted to propose a motion to remove Waiguru. He was not a chair of any committee. So what has stopped him this time to raise any motion and start blaming us for removing as a chair? I want to say that everybody has an equal opportunity to raise any issues regarding oversight.
Steve, as you wind up here.
I think we are communicating on cross purposes. What I'm saying is this: there is a law on discharge of the chair and vice chairman. I've laid down the law, and I'm saying the law has not been followed. You are discharging the chairperson of a committee. He must have done something that is inconsistent with that office. Now, what Mheshimiwa is saying about regional balance, this should have been discussed in a particular forum before the election of those chairmen. Once they have been elected, you can do a debrief and find out, did you succeed, did you not succeed? Because the influence, in my understanding, of the president as the party leader of Jubilee is in terms of mobilizing MPs that support, so that when MPs go to cast a vote,
to them to they know
before the vote, yes. After the vote, the president has minimal, in fact, he has no control at all on the affairs of that committee. The law on composition and discharge requires, once you've been elected, we must observe your ability to lead that committee and your conduct while you lead it.
Regional balance notwithstanding, Steve?
No. The thing is this: you can't oust an elected chairman of a committee because when you look, if that is the case, listen,
whether it's for a good cause or not, you don't think that should have
let me give you examples.
Let him finish.
There are inexhaustible examples. I mean, even parliament as it is now is of dubious legality in terms of the law on composition. We need more women in parliament. We don't have them there. I think if you're talking about regional, gender, and other indicators of maintaining balance on the face of the nation in parliament, then this parliament could be dead on arrival, as it were. Okay. What I'm saying, that if MPs, and we saw this as a continuation during the electioneering period, if MPs want to continue with this attitude that they can select what is convenient for them and then they do it without reference to the law. If the law ordains it, so be it. If the law precludes it, does not ordain it, so be it, you organize yourself. That is the kind of dangerous approach that will not take this country forward, and it just shows that members of parliament are in fact manipulable.
Okay.
They are susceptible to executive manipulation, and you can't run away from it. In any case, we're saying, lastly, there's a case pending in court. And it's strategic. It's telling that this case is coming up tomorrow for directions. What direction is the judge going to give when these people have already been voted out?
Okay.
No, in fact, he is just actually in agreement with what I'm saying.
No,
because we allowed Kenyans to vote the way they voted, we have a problem of achieving the gender parity. Because we allowed Kenyans to vote. And that's why I'm also saying that if we allowed members of the committees to vote for whoever they want to vote as chair, then we can easily concentrate the leadership in one region, and that's what we are running away from. And my brother here, he supports me in one way, and on the other side, he seems
I don't think you can reach a conclusion.
But what I'm saying is, like right now, the parliament is grappling with how to satisfy the gender balance, and it is not an issue that can be resolved in court, even though right now it is in court. We as members of parliament, I am telling you, for now we are burning our midnight lamps to make sure that we have a solution to this. We missed it in the 11th parliament, but this 12th parliament we will not miss, because I'm sure this time we are going to address. So we cannot allow just people to vote freely, and this is what we did for Yala, we lost it. That's what we did for the general public, we lost it. So for this one of the committee leadership, we must be able to negotiate.
This is something clearly that will be talked about for days to come, because you're going to have the elections obviously after this. But that statement you just made is what raises eyebrows. You cannot allow members to vote freely.
They are voting freely, but you know, as they vote freely, I told you our fears as a party that wants to embrace all regions. Our fears is that if we allowed free fall, the positions of leadership of the committee will be concentrated in one area, and therefore defeating the initial aim of us spreading this leadership.
We'll have to leave it there because of time, but thank you so much for making time for us. Steve Ogola is a lawyer, and Benjamin Washiali, Majority Whip in the National Assembly, also MP Mumias East. Is it about party discipline or executive attempts to control parliament, as they're saying, to ensure regional balance? Keep talking to us. The hashtag is a big question on Twitter. You can text us on 22422. We're back after this break with Business News.